You need to do a relationship audit. This is Red Ibis Coach. I'm Heather, and I'm talking about well-being during perimenopause using Ben-Shahar's positive psychology SPIRE model, which is an anti-fragility model not meant for perimenopause, but we take what we can and we repurpose it for our needs. So we've already covered spirituality, we've already covered physical health, intellectual well-being. Now we're talking about relationships. And when we get to this stage of life, something that is really important is to use what we've learned so far and apply it to every area of our lives we possibly can. And there's probably at least one friend who is clinging, hanging on. Maybe you're clinging to them. Maybe it's not a friend, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's a family member or some acquaintance. Somebody is draining your energy in some way, usually. And this is part of perimenopause and part of like moving into our wisdom and our era of being healthier and making better choices as we age is noticing which relationships are filling our cups and which relationships are draining them. Of course, if you're a caregiver to somebody who is sick or you're caregiving for children, you can't really do anything about that. They're okay the way they are. But if you're talking about fully functioning adults who don't require extra care and are just taking advantage of your many gifts, you can change the boundaries. You can change the way you engage with this person. You can limit access. You can spend less time with them. You can be less available. And this is not an unkindness on them. It is a kindness to yourself to do that. If you don't have this issue, then this is not advice for you, but there will be a little bit of stuff that I cover in just a moment. So if you think about changing the rules of engagement with someone who is taking something from you without replacing it, essentially, so there's not reciprocity in the way that there should be. It's hard. It's hard to say no. It's hard to change things. People get upset when you change things, but when you're focusing on your well-being, you need to be more in alignment. So these are the things that you can work on: spirituality, physical health, intellectual health. Now we're talking about a relational health, and part of the process is not only your relationship with yourself, but your relationship with other people. In order to have more energy and be able to put more effort into your relationship with yourself, you do need to change the way you relate to other people. More on your relationship with yourself is just like going back to this idea of play, this idea of creativity. What do you like to do? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? How can you experience more awe and wonder? How can you infuse your life with more humor? What are you doing to move your body in a way that feels good for you? What foods do you love to eat or cook or share with others? What's your favorite leisurely thing to do? Do you ever just lay around and just get comfy and be lazy for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes without looking at your phone? That's focusing on you, not something outside of you, right? So that's starting to become more interested in you again. Of course, focusing also more and putting maybe a little more into the relationships that do fulfill you, that do fill you up, This is going to sustain you. This is the number one thing that longevity studies, the Harvard longevity studies say. Relationships that are supportive, reaching out to someone, taking 5 minutes to text them, taking making time for people. This is extremely important in all walks of life and all stages of life, but particularly as you're thinking about how am I going to have a good life now, and how am I going to build habits that support a good life in the long term. Relationships will be the number one. Your relationship with yourself is important. So if you're an introvert, that's okay. However, none of us can survive completely solo. We need a little bit of relationship support, and that is usually going to be most beneficial if it's face to face. Does it have to be? No, but it does help a lot. Even if you can only do it once a month, once every 6 weeks, once every 2 months, this is really going to make it a lot easier for you to sustain your well being in the long term. We, as women in particular, we've been consuming relationship advice of some kind for our entire lives. So we're pretty good at being social. We're pretty good at understanding what relationships need. So we might not need to seek out a whole lot of advice on it. But because we are socialized to give and to focus on giving more than receiving, it does need to change once we start to change physically because we don't have unlimited energy. We don't have unlimited resources to give away. Some of that needs to be conserved for ourselves. Some of that needs to be nurtured. And sometimes we can go through phases where we need more or less from other people. So it's okay to notice that as well. So that's all for today. I hope that you got something out of this. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will be back with emotional well-being tomorrow.